Hey everyone, so if you're a developer and you are just sick and tired of AI assistants that forget everything you teach them, then this deep dive is for you. We are going to go under the hood of NEXO Brain v2.1 and see how it's built to be a true cognitive partner, not just another tool with amnesia. Let's dive in.
We've all been there, right? I mean, you spend an hour or maybe more teaching your coding agent all the little details of your project, only for it to forget everything the very next day. It is the single biggest frustration with AI today. It's incredibly powerful, but it's amnesic. Every single session, you're starting from scratch.
And this slide, it just lays it all out. On the left, you've got the standard AI we're all used to. Stateless, starts fresh every time. But on the right, that's the whole goal of NEXO Brain, to be a cognitive partner. And that means it doesn't just store little notes in a file, it builds an actual functioning memory. It remembers your corrections, it learns your workflow, and it builds a real working relationship with you over time. So how in the world does NEXO Brain pull this off? Well, it's not just a clever prompt or some gigantic context window. The secret, and this is the key, is in its foundation. It's a cognitive architecture that is modeled directly on how human memory works. Let's break that down.
Okay, so just like our own brains, it has 3 stages. First up is the sensory register. Think of this like a raw data stream. It captures everything, tool calls, error messages, you name it, but it only hangs around for 48 hours. Then an attention filter decides what's actually important. That stuff gets promoted to short-term memory, which is kind of your active workspace. It has a 7-day half-life. If you use that info, it sticks around. If you ignore it, it starts to fade. And finally, the really critical stuff, the information you access again and again, gets consolidated into long-term memory, with a much longer 60-day half-life.
And get this isn't just some cute metaphor. NEXO Brain is a literal implementation of the Atkinson-Shiffrin memory model. You know, a cornerstone of cognitive psychology from way back in 1968. It actually uses Ebbinghaus forgetting curves, so memories decay realistically if you don't use them. And it uses rehearsal-based reinforcement. The more you use a memory, the stronger and more accessible it becomes. This is real cognitive science, just applied directly to our code.
All right, so with this human-like memory architecture as our base, we can now build some truly intelligent functions right on top of it. Let's get into how this brain actually thinks, learns, and interacts with you. First off, search. It doesn't search by keywords, it searches by meaning. It uses vector embeddings to mimic our own associative memory. And this example here is perfect. You can search for deploy problems, and it will pull up a memory about an SSH connection timeout, even though those phrases share 0 common words. It's not matching text, it's understanding the concept. That's a huge difference. And this is where it gets really, really powerful. This is called metacognition. It's thinking about thinking. Instead of just blindly following a command that contradicts something it's already learned about you, the agent actually speaks up. It points out the conflict. It asks for clarification. This one feature completely changes the dynamic from a simple tool to a real collaborator. It's trying to understand your intent, not just your instructions. Now, to manage this whole relationship, NEXO Brain uses something called a trust score. Now, this isn't about permissions or anything. You are always in control. Think of it more like a confidence meter for your partnership. When you two are working well together, the score goes up and the agent becomes a bit more autonomous. It won't pester you with as many questions. But if it makes a mistake, the score drops and it gets more cautious, double-checking things more often. It's constantly adjusting its own behavior based on your feedback. But what's really wild is that the learning doesn't just stop when you close your editor. I think one of the most powerful ideas in NEXO Brain is its system of autonomous background processes. These things work to improve the agent while you're offline, literally while you're sleeping. It runs on what the creators call a nervous system, of 14 separate cron jobs that get busy overnight. At 3 a.m., it kicks off memory consolidation. An hour later, it does some synaptic pruning to clear out old, unused data. Then, at 4:30, the main event, the deep sleep pipeline. And by 7 a.m., before you've even had your coffee, it's already run a full self-audit and health check.
So what is this deep sleep pipeline? Well, it's the big headline feature for version 2.1. Here's how it works. First, it collects all of the transcripts from your sessions the day before. Then it extracts key findings, things like corrections you made, emotional signals like frustration or flow, even projects you might have abandoned. In phase 3, it synthesizes all of that data, looking for patterns across different sessions. And finally, it applies those insights. It creates new permanent memories for itself and even generates a little morning brief for you. And that synthesis phase we just talked about, well,
That leads us to what is, by far, the most innovative and, honestly, game-changing feature of NEXO Brain. This is where the system really goes beyond just being a clever tool.
Just let that sink in for a second. What if your coding partner didn't just understand your code, but it actually understood your state of mind based on how you worked? That overnight analysis creates a mood score, and it fundamentally changes how the agent talks to you the next day.
So, for example, let's say you had a really rough day yesterday. You were hitting roadblocks, getting frustrated. The analysis sees that your mood score dropped below 40%. The next morning, the agent doesn't just barge in with a bunch of complex new ideas. It starts the day with a much more supportive, cautious tone. It'll actively try to avoid whatever it was that seemed to trigger your frustration the day before. On the flip side, if you had an amazing day, you were in the zone, in a flow state, the agent recognizes that too. It comes in the next day ready to help you keep that momentum going. It might reference yesterday's wins and even suggest some more ambitious goals, trying to help you capitalize on that high productivity.
And this might be my favorite one. What if the agent itself was the problem? What if it was clumsy and made a bunch of mistakes? Well, it doesn't just pretend nothing happened. The next time you start a session, it proactively acknowledges its errors. It will literally show you what it learned from them and prove that it's improved from the very first thing it does. Now that's how you build trust.
Okay, this all sounds absolutely incredible. Maybe a little too good to be true, right? So, does it actually work? Let's look at the hard data and talk about how you can get started.
The results really do speak for themselves. On the Locomo benchmark, which is specifically designed to test long-term conversation memory, NEXO Brain just knocks it out of the park. It scored a 0.588, which is a massive 55% better than GPT-4 using its full 128-take context window. And here's the kicker. This is all running locally on a standard CPU, no GPU required.
And getting started, it's almost funny how simple it is. It's just one npx command. That's it. You run that one line and it sets up the entire local environment on your machine. No messing with config files, no complicated setup. And just to be super clear about this, everything is 100% local. It uses a simple SQL-Lite database, so there are zero cloud dependencies. Your data stays with you. You get the full power of all 14 of those autonomous background jobs, and it's all managed by a simple cron manifest you can look at. And most importantly, the whole project is open source. It's AGPL 3.0, so you can go to GitHub right now and dig into the code yourself. So we have an AI here that actually learns. It remembers your preferences, it adapts to your mood, and it literally gets smarter while you sleep. The old model of the amnesic AI assistant, well, its days are numbered. The only question left is, are you ready to start working with a real partner? Thanks for tuning in.